Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're talking about the power of the morning routine, and I'm really excited because this is something that absolutely transformed my life. It's one of those things that you hear successful people talk about over and over and over. I'm not saying every successful person ever does a morning routine, but it is a common practice of people who have massively transformed their life, and it's one of mine. So I thought I would start out by sharing my experience of what it did for my life, and then we'll talk practicalities, we'll talk about books and resources where you can find out more. If you're still kind of skeptical, don't take my word for it. Take all these other people's word for it who have practiced this over and over and over and over and found success with so many clients. I'm doing it with my clients. They're experiencing the magic of the morning routine. So
Before you get into what your morning routine is, will you
yeah.
tell us what the old version was? What before you changed it? How was your morning before?
My morning before was wake up whenever, go to the gym. And
Now let me ask you: would you wake up and literally roll out, just a sip of water, and run to the gym? Is there any time for excavation? You're not having a cup of coffee. You just got up and went.
I would have my coffee. I like kind of just whatever I felt like. Probably jump on my phone. Just start right. I just like to start right in reactive mode to make sure that I am not in control of my life. Okay, so just get on my phone, start Instagramming, whatever I feel like. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Just get some caffeine in my system and head to the gym. Right? That was my life before. And what happened was once I started getting obsessed with life optimization, I started hearing these patterns over and over and over about the morning routine. So I freaking committed. I was like, I'm getting up at 4:30 every single morning, 4:30 every single morning. And I was at this point, like, I didn't have to go to an office job. I worked part-time for a friend and part-time for myself. When this started happening, I was really starting on my journey of I am going to do this. I am going to create the life that I want, right? So came right at that pivotal point for me. And I started getting up at 4:30 for no reason. And I love this. I'm telling this story because I feel like it exemplifies so much how much our society doesn't get this. Okay. So I would get up at 4:30, and the way I did it was I had like my power hour. And part of that was something that I call, eat the frog. That is not my word. I'm sorry. I don't know who that's from, but I can't remember who it's from right now, but eat the frog. So it's do one task that you are dreading, that you don't want to do that day. So for me, if it's like I had that one client that has all these special requirements and I got to from scratch build this like crazy new thing for her, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't feel like doing that. That doesn't sound like a really fun thing to do, So that would be my eat the frog. I can go. And for me, I love to build rewards into my life. So for me, going to the gym is the reward. It has become I can't wait to do that. I go to sleep like I can't wait to go to the gym. I love being active. So for me, like that, once you get this done, then you can go to the gym, right? So it's helpful to build those kind of reward systems in your life, right? Like, for example, when my kids, this is a little bit of a side, but it really helps us as adults too. When my kids were being homeschooled during coronavirus, it was a mess for a minute because it was just like, hey, did you do your stuff? Hey, come show me if you did your stuff. Hey, why are you on games again? Like, go do your work, right? And I was like, well, this is terrible management. So I made one rule that changed the game completely. And it was, you cannot be on any electronic of any kind until all of your schoolwork is done. And they started getting done at 9 o'clock in the morning. By 9, they were done with all of it. So that's, as adults, we need these same kind of rewards built into our life. So it's like, okay, well, maybe you love your morning cup of coffee, but you want to start doing cold showers in the morning. Well, you can't have your coffee till you do your cold shower. Like, build in those kind of things for yourself, because then you'll get it done, right? We are highly motivated to do the things that we want to do. We're not highly motivated to do the things we don't want to do. But if it's something you want to incorporate into your life to make your life better, put those little reward systems in. So for me, I started getting up at 4:30. There's a guy on social media that I freaking love. He's probably one of the coaches I respect the most in the industry, and his coach Brian Nunez is what he goes by on Instagram. And he's a Nike master trainer. He's got a facility out in California. He's just a super motivational guy. And he talks about this all the time. And I have his words burned into my brain. And it was, he talks about not hitting the snooze button. And he's like, do you want your dreams or do you want to hit the snooze, right? Don't hit the snooze on your dreams. And every single morning I would hear his words in my head, like, don't you dare snooze on your dreams. And I was like, all right. So I had to build this discipline of getting up, like, get up, go for it, right? Because, like, what are those extra 30 minutes going to do? Go to sleep sooner the next day. And that's another thing for morning routine. If this is something you're going to implement in your life at the end of this, if you're like, okay, I'm going to try this, I would say, No excuses. You know that you're getting up at X time. So freaking make your nights fit around it. So if you stayed up too late, too freaking bad, still get up. I don't care. One night of sleep deprivation is not going to kill you, and fix it. Fix your nightly routine, fix your life so that it can accommodate this. Because if you create this sacred space for yourself in the morning, in the quiet, before anyone can bug you, before your kids can bug you, before your clients can bug you, before anyone can bug you, you can create the life of your dreams. And it is the most, I love it now. It's my sacred time, right? Even, even when when my kids are here, I make sure I have my kids every other week. I make sure that my morning routine time comes before they're even up. Right?
Is that why you chose 4:30? Is that why?
Yeah.
Because usually like they're rolling out of bed 5:36 and then you got to be.
Kind of. I actually chose it because I wanted to be able to basically be done with my workday before all the shitstorm starts coming in of client requests and emails and all this I want to create. So I wanted to create enough time for me to do that. Also because lift training is the tail end of my morning routine. So I wanted to make sure I had time to create and do all these things and work out and be done with all of that before the storm comes, right? So all right. So for me, I love this. I'll hit on that story. I was going to the gym, so my gym time was 6. This is another tip. If you're going to start a morning routine, like have cutoff times. Okay. Cause I don't know about you, but like once I get dialed in on something, I don't want to stop. Right. So I'm like, oh, I'm already sitting down doing this. It's hard. The transitions, right? That's something I've really had to learn. The transitions are hard for me. So it's like 6 o'clock, you're eating the frog, like 6 o'clock, you're done. Let's go, let's move. Right. So I had to Nazi this stuff for myself a little bit. Like I had to be very, very disciplined because I didn't have that discipline. Right. So I'm like, I need to train myself how to do this. So 6 o'clock, I'm done. I head to the gym. And so one time I was at there's a little shop where you can buy like supplements and recovery drinks and all this. And I was going in and the guy goes, wow, you must have a really early job. And I was like, oh, no. I just choose my time. And he was like, what? Right. And I was like, yeah. He's like, why the freak would you get up this early? Like, just cause. I was like, cause I'm creating my life, yo. I am creating my life, and I love that story because I remember the look on his face was just like,
why would anyone ever do this?
So perplexed. Like he was just like, whatever. But I'm sharing that because this is so foreign to us, but I have met so many people. One thing about being a trainer that's really cool is you get connections with people who are very successful because very successful people hire trainers because they understand that they need to expand their mindset and hire coaches, right? And so because of that, I've gotten wonderful connections of people who are running multi-million-dollar companies, multiple multi-million-dollar companies, billionaires, investors, people who have success mindsets out the wazoo. And being able to talk to some of these people, one thing I've learned is that most of them, not all of them, but most of them talk about this concept of like, oh yeah, like I'm basically done with my stuff by like 10 in the morning, right? And then it's just flow time, right? But they create this powerful moment for themselves to be able to create their life because otherwise what happens? We get taken away. We get brisked away. And if you don't want to be like a freaking tumbleweed getting brisked away through your life, you've got to take some time to create, right? You have to have some time in your day that you create. And I'm saying, and you can testify this too, I think you talk about how important it is for you to get stuff done early in the morning, right?
Geez. Okay, so even, and this goes for people in the corporate world too. So when I used to be in the corporate world and have to get up and put on a suit every day and like go into work. So here's the key to the success of any like office corporate job you could possibly have. If you really want to climb the ladder, you're the earliest one in the office. So my morning routine at the time, it's totally different now. It's 20 years ago. But I'd get into that office as soon as it would open or eventually like I had the key. I'd get in there at like 7:30. I would make the coffee, do all the stuff. By the time all these jokers are rolling in at 8:30, a little bit past the time they're supposed to be there, they're just started with their lazy hour. I'm already in it. I'm killing it. I'm already done. I'm moving. I'm going. And so that is really one of the tenets, I swear, that made me the most successful person in that company at the age of 22 when everyone else that did my job in that company, about 11 other people, were all 35 and plus. They weren't as successful as I was. They would walk by my office and be like, how old are you again? And I'd be like, and I used to say to people graduating from college, going to the corporate world, I'm like, you get in there. You get in there early. I don't care. Get in
Yeah,
there,
you
because that
that's
time with the coffee and the checking the emails or whatever now we're talking about a little bit of different morning routine, but even that alone, you can find some time there in your office, shoot emails, coffee, all right, you're hanging out, now you can. But sometimes maybe you need to get there and be there alone at the office for an hour before everyone else gets there, or just get that dumb stuff done, the checking the emails, the preparing for the day. I'm telling you, I was so far ahead of the game, and I got out of work earlier. And
yeah.
that's just how I am. I'm more of a person where I'd rather get up earlier to go do something than like have it be later. I can't. It's for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're exercising a proactive choice. So I love this because you're giving an example even within an organization. This wasn't your organization. You weren't the CEO of this organization, but you as sure as hell were acting like it was. You were owning that.
That's
You were
right.
being proactive about your choices to show up instead of just being this like bare minimum get the job done person, right? This is the thing is like we always think, what's the bare minimum I can do? And you're like, no, no, no. What's the maximum I can do? And that's obviously why you've had success in your life because you're asking, what can I do instead of just showing up with the bare minimum?
Yeah,
Okay.
so get back to, let's go back to your morning routine, and I'll talk about my current one. But just in general, I think too, and again, even if you're a person that's like a night owl, you can still adjust this to your schedule. It just means your morning is a little bit later. We're not telling everyone you have to wake up early, although would I suggest that I think it might be the healthiest way to do to go by our circadian rhythm of the sun? Yeah, that would be my personal opinion. But look, I know people in our industry who are night owls, and that's cool too. And so maybe they're waking up later, but you still have to adjust for the time before you roll into the world. Or I would say, if you do, try it because it's a life changer, like us.
Yeah, for me, from my perspective, and I know Dave Asprey actually talks about this in his book Game Changers. He talks about how people have different peak performance times during the day. I will
Yes.
say, I will say though, I'm a night owl. Definitely. By nature, I'm a night owl. Everyone in my family is, where it's just by nature, I'm a night owl. I have found that even though, sure, I like to be awake late at night, I am far from my most creative productivity late at night. Now, I'm not saying that I can't like if I'm writing a book, yeah, I can get pretty freaking creative at night. But when I'm talking about executing and strategizing my life,
No.
it's
I don't want
not
to.
happening.
I don't want to. Like
You're tired.
Mark Sisson, he does his best work. He loves late afternoon. That's his time where
That's
he's
his
like
peak time.
really rolling. For me, I want to be doing nothing but hacking off after 3 p.m. I really don't. Like, I would rather get up early and
Right.
knock stuff out than leave it for later. And that's just me. And that goes for workouts too. So what I found is, man, while I could easily muster up a sunset walk with someone or even muster up any kind of afternoon exercise, I don't like it. I don't.
neither.
I like
Me
to
neither.
get it out and start my day off. And so what I've noticed is that I've unintentionally screwed up my scheduling where, oh my God, I'm talking to someone at 9 to 11 and then an hour, and now 1 o'clock is around and I don't want to do shit.
Nope.
I don't want to
Nope.
work out. And those are the days where then I won't, or I have to force it. And I'm like, I don't like this. I wish I had just started earlier because, so I've learned that about myself, which means I got to make that happen. And for me, it's creating extra time because I like a morning. I like the morning to myself. I like a couple of hours. I don't just get out of bed and run out the door. I like the coffee, go to the bathroom, hang out, do all the stuff we're going to talk about, and then get going. You know what I mean? And so for me, I have to leave that time. So for example, like when I was at PaleoFX or things are starting early somewhere, you're out of town, then I am getting up at 4:30 on those mornings because I'm carving out the time for my morning routine, no matter what the adjustment is.
Yeah, right now I'm in like a little in-between spot, and I guess it leads me to this, what I want to say is experiment with yourself, but don't just say, I know that I'm a night owl, so there's no freaking way I'm doing that. Do not just say that. Experiment. Like, give it a consistent effort of a month. Because for me, I would listen to this, and I'd be like, yeah, dude, I am not a morning person. Like, no, just try it. Try all the different ways. Find out what your peak performance is, because never in a million freaking years would I ever say, like, dude, yeah, I'm going to get up at 4:30 and do stuff. Right now, I'm experimenting. Corona definitely was an interesting stint for me because I was like, I let it go, right? During Corona, I still did my morning routine, but I just like woke up whenever.
Me too, yeah.
I have to say, like, while I enjoyed the sleep and all that, I lost some power in my day. I did. And since then, my morning wake up time has been 6. I'm experimenting with that. It's just not as good. I'm just being real. Like, it's just not as good because I don't have as much time to myself to creatively juice up my life with my power when I wake up that late. So I would just say, just experiment, give yourself a month. I know some people do well with afternoon workouts. I'm the exact same way. Once that afternoon rolls around, it's like literally in my bones. I'm like, I can't do this. When I have all of my catecholamines first thing in the morning, I've got cortisol and adrenaline and all that stuff running through my veins, I freaking kill it. I'm not saying you can't do different things. I worked out at night when I got fit, right? Not ideal for your circadian rhythm at all. But for me in my life at that time with babies and being a stay-at-home mom,
twice a day. Yeah, and sometimes like there's been times in my life where you're training for something. I'm sure you've been through it. You might have to be there twice a day. It depends on what your goal is. So like, of course, there's a lot of forced workouts in a certain type of training paradigm. But yeah, I'm that way too. And it's like, again, there's people that can't get it together in the morning. That's okay. We're not asking you to, but I think you should, again, do an experiment. Try to switch up the paradigm. There is this like FOMO thing that happens late at night with people. And I don't not personally understand it because I don't get that. But I love what I love about waking up so early, maybe you feel this way too when you're waking up at 4:30. It's like you are alone in the world. No one's up yet. Yep. There's this really serene, cool feeling like you're the only one, you know? Yep. And I get that on the opposite, it feels probably that way at 1 a.m. or something for someone too. So I get that. And that's what I kind of like. Like sometimes I'm creative all day, but I like to close it out around 2 or 3. You know, I don't want to be doing interesting stuff then, but I can be on fire at 5 o'clock in the morning. I can go have 3 hours in the morning and knock stuff out and be totally on fire where other people aren't. So again, you got to find your thing. But
I would say though, like once you adjust, because for the first morning you might be like, nope, I'm not seeing all that power they're talking about. I knew it. I feel freaking tired because probably you went to bed at midnight, right? But after that adjustment period happens, what will happen? Our bodies will adjust to whatever we give it. So you'll start to get tired earlier. Part of the reason you probably stay up so late is because you sleep in late. I promise if you only got 4 hours of sleep every night, you'd start getting tired earlier, you know? So allow for that adjustment. But I am encouraging. I'm not saying you can't find your groove and it can be different than this one, but I'm saying as a technical night owl, I have found extreme power in the discipline of having a morning routine. So I'm saying just freaking try it and see. All right. So let's talk about like what a morning routine might look like, right? Like, what are we talking about? What are we doing here? What's this routine? Like just getting up early? No. So there's a book that I really like called The Perfect Day Formula by Craig Ballantyne. He walks the walk. You love Craig? Yeah.
I interviewed him. Craig. He's great. He gets up at 4 o'clock every morning.
Yeah.
He also goes to bed at 8 o'clock at night too. Yeah.
He's living it and he's teaching it, and I appreciate that book because it's a really fast and applicable read. So if you want a good book on it, that one is really good. So for me,
and by the way, just for those people listening, you can always type in Craig Ballantyne and Elle because there's a Primal Blueprint podcast where I'm talking all about that book with him.
Oh, perfect. Okay, nice.
It was a good interview. It was great.
So you get Cliff Notes. Okay, so morning routine for me, what it looks like is it's like down to a science. It's like I'm a robot. It's like I wake up, I get out of my bed, I make my bed, I walk into my bathroom, I brush my teeth, I walk into my closet, I put my workout clothes on. I mean, it's just like boom, 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 boom. And then I take the discipline moment because guess what? Even though I've been doing this for 2 years, my brain still wants to jump into other stuff. I still want to do I still have to resist the urge to open up any apps on my phone. No. The phone is off limits. So next thing, hey Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes. Boom, I sit my butt down on the floor and I meditate for 10 minutes. I still have to execute discipline. Even after all that time, even after all the miracles in my life and all the amazing things that have happened, I still have to execute discipline on that choice every day. Now, 10 minutes, the reason I recommend that is because that's what's been shown in research that people will actually stick to. If you're a meditation gangster and you meditate for an hour every day and your life is built around that, holy cow, like props, like goals, right? But if you're just starting out, you are not going to do that. And I would say even 20 minutes can become overwhelming for people. So start with 10 and work from there if this is new for you. And if you need help with meditation, do it. Like get educated. So I like Headspace for the Headspace app for a little bit when you're first starting because it can just teach you the concepts. Beyond that, I like another app called Insight Timer. It has a bunch of free guided meditations. It has background music. It even has kids meditations I use for my kids at bedtime. It's really cool because it's showing them the ropes of meditation and they like it because it's like this special thing, you know, that they get to do. Also, beyond that, there's some guided meditations. Deepak Chopra, we mentioned, has a 21-day guided abundance meditation. Sometimes like these guided meditations can be extremely helpful when you're first starting this process because you don't know what you're doing. Pretty soon you'll realize like I don't need anything. I just need to develop the practice of letting thoughts go and welcoming them in and letting them go and welcoming and letting them go. And I would say for me, the biggest benefits that I can like tangibly notice in my life from meditation are the practice of being able to have triggers come in, thoughts, impulses, and letting them go and stay focused on the task at hand. That's been wildly beneficial in my life. Instead of running around ragged trying to answer to every little impulse that comes in my mind, it's like, cool, noted. Hey, Siri, set a reminder to send so-and-so a program at 3:00 today. Boom, done, right? Like I'm staying focused on what I'm doing. The other thing is just having the discipline to sit and be still, right? Especially for us achievers. Just being still and receiving. This is receiving mode. Our brains are transmitters and they're receivers. So go into receiver mode for a minute so you can be inspired, so you can live your life better, right? Okay, the next thing on my list is write something. So for me and my clients, that's written gratitude, because when you write something, you slow your brain down enough to process it. So write it with your hand, okay? Write it with your hands, the slow way. Write something down. And what I do is I write my gratitude and then how it makes me feel when I think about those things I'm grateful for. Now we're exercising the practice of identifying emotions, which we don't do enough in our lives. So that's wildly beneficial. And when you see all the abundance, when you're identifying abundance and positive emotion in your life every day, you just welcome more of it. It's like you can't stop. It's like you're addicted to seeing all the abundance in your life. And when you truly understand the abundance that's in your life, you understand that you have access to infinite riches and possibilities and anything you could ever want. Next step is say something out loud. Right. So this is your reticular activating system. If you go on YouTube, you can look up reticular activating system. This is something that a lot of mindset coaches, people like Tony Robbins, have employed. So when you say something out loud, you're aligning your subconscious mind and your conscious mind to want the same things. So for example, right now, I really want an Audi Q5. I want one. I've test driven it twice. I want it. Okay. I want it. And now guess what? Because I've said, I want an Audi Q5 and I have been in an Audi Q5. Guess what? I can't stop seeing all over the place.
Of course. You see them everywhere, don't you?
Everywhere. Right.
Happens,
and so so what are you going to say out loud? I would say read your goals out loud. This also comes from Think and Grow Rich, the auto suggestion formula. I have it written. It's right there. Every single morning I read that out loud. Right. So read your goals out loud. So you're aligning your subconscious and your conscious mind. And then also positive affirmations. If that's something you haven't ever done in your life, I do recommend that, man. That was life-changing for me. I did it. I don't do them consistently now. I'm more focused on these reading my goals and also some mindset coaching that I do. I read things out loud. But positive affirmations, like looking yourself in the eye and saying like, I am beautiful and I'm successful and I'm, kind and loving and good. Like if you haven't had that in practice with yourself, it will change you forever. So something out loud based off what you need, right? And then the last thing is scheduling, right? This is the next step for me is I look at my week at the beginning of each week and my day each day, and I schedule in the things that I want. Right. So making time for them. It's like, oh, you're going to create this program, or you're going to spend time with your daughter, or you're going to like work out. When? Right. And the thing is that a lot of us, we're really good at responding to what other people want us to do, but we're not really good at creating the time in our lives for the things that we want to do. Right. So looking at that schedule is really, really beautiful. And then you just feel so set up for your day. It's not even funny. You feel invincible. Once you get done with this process, you're just like, man, I tune into intuition. I'm feeling inspired. I'm connected to myself and my goals. I've said it out loud. I feel all aligned and I know what I'm doing today and it's feeding a bigger purpose. Like, wow, you just feel invincible. And then of course, like in addition to this, I would recommend like after you're done with that, some activity, right? Working out, it just sets your circadian rhythm. It gets dopamine firing in your brain. So you're just like I'm a superhuman. And then sunlight, if you can get some sunlight at some point, just a little bit, even a little, that will set your circadian rhythm too and just boost your mood so much. And then something cold. So the way I do that for me is when I get back from the gym and I take my shower, I end it with cold.
Yep.
Right? 30 to 60 seconds of cold at the end of your shower is wonderful. You do all that stuff.
I do. Dude, and it sucks at first. It does. When you do the first cold shower, you're like, no. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But yeah, it feels good and it's important. I like all of those things. I find that guided meditation is great. But speaking of Byron Katie, since we talk about her a lot, she's got a great meditation. It's one of the best meditations ever. It's so, because as you're listening to it, you will drift off into some thought. And then she'll just
Nice.
kind of lightly come back in and be like, okay, thank that thought for sharing its life with you, and now it's gone. And it kind of just keeps bringing you back. Now, some of these things you can kind of, you can fall asleep, like some of them are kind of sleepy. Okay. So, sometimes, again, if I'm all about morning stuff, but maybe meditation is for night and morning's for your goals or whatever. You can listen to a meditation CD that relaxes you if you have trouble sleeping, because sometimes people get a little sleepy. And again, 5 to 10 minutes, that's perfect. Longer than that, my gosh. But I think guided meditations are great for people that haven't done them before, and they're still great.
Always.
I wrote my own guided meditation I haven't recorded yet about abundance, and so sometimes
nice.
I kind of play that in my head. I also do love affirmations, and I think I keep mentioning him, but I've interviewed him and I love him, and it's Justin Perry of You Are Creators YouTube. Tons of free,
Nice.
like gratitude affirmations, press play, and it's just him talking. I'm so grateful for this, the sun and the sky, all the things that we don't even, you forget. But when you're doing a gratitude list, and look, there's gratitude journals, there's guided journals, right? You talked about someone else's, right? There's journals with
Brendan
questions.
Burchard's high performance planner. That's what I use for my
There you go.
planning and strategizing and asking myself some deep questions. Like, if you were a high performance coach coaching your own life today, what would you tell yourself? Those are powerful questions, right? If there was one word to describe you today, what would it be and why? Wow, that's a powerful question to just answer every day. It really sets you up for success.
Right, and you can you can get those tools so that you can be guided by someone else to put you in a kind of practice. And if at the very minimum all you can do is write 3 things that you're grateful for, and first of all, I agree, get a list of goals, period. Right, type that out, put it on the wall. One might be paid for, and it's all the things you are going to spend money on. It's the Audi Q5, it's the whatever. And then maybe there's just a goal like, I'm so excited now that I'm a New York Times bestselling author. Like, whatever, I don't care what it is.
Right.
You have those printed out, then you can quickly, just like you said, you go and you read them, right? You're just running through them every day.
Right.
On the gratitude stuff, it really is important what you touched on, which is, it's really one thing to sit there and go, I'm so grateful I have my arms. I'm so grateful I have my eyesight. I'm really grateful for my family. That's great. There's no emotion there. Then you need to go back and go, number 1, I'm grateful for my eyesight. Okay, like, here's the thing. You've got to really generate the feelings, like an actor would, of what that's like. Because here's the thing. I guarantee that if anyone listening really thought about it for a while, or you looked up videos of blind people, you'd be brought to frickin' tears because you have your damn eyes. When's the last time you thought about that? I haven't thought about it in a while. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, when's the last time? So I don't care if you have to go generate yourself to an image that makes you feel that feeling of gratitude for that. How often we take for granted that we're walking and we have our arms. Do you know what I mean? Like, when I lost I didn't lose the full ability. But when I got injured with my arms, I mean, I remember, like, my mantra forever before I even got into this was, I am so glad I have my legs. Like, at least I have my legs. You know what I mean? Whatever it is for you. But you have to generate the feeling. So it is important to get into the emotion. We talked about this on intention and creation. So even if you only have, you're bored, I don't want to do all this work. Great. Well, okay, start small. But maybe just 3 things. But you better powerfully. And you know what that might mean? After you've done it, you put the iPhone timer for 30 seconds and you sit there with the eye closed and you feel the feelings of what it's like. Boom. Next one, iPhone timer. Yeah. I have a friend who's learning about manifestation, and he was like, he wanted to manifest something. It was a specific house, and he did, by the way. But I said, you have to, like, he's got 3 kids. I'm like, you got to go into your closet with your iPhone, like dark closet, and you have to put a timer for 2 minutes, and you need to end result it. Imagine living in the house, all the stuff, all the good feelings. And one of the things he said during that manifestation, which I thought was just gangster end result, which is that he was he wanted to put an offer and get, like, a good offer on it too, and possibly get this house. But he said, I was generating the feelings of, like, oh my God, like, oh my God, like, they got, like, they accepted it. Like, I got the best deal ever. Like, he just generated this excitement of what it would feel like to score this house for this price, etc. And so again, just a 2-minute, but it's got to be a feeling generator 2-minute, not a thinking generator, because that's not going to make the stuff happen. The other stuff too is Do you have a book you're reading that's like a spiritual book? I have lots of them around that I love. Like, for example, you just reminded me of the Bob Proctor one. I'm like, oh yeah. So you know what? I might right now just be like every morning I'm turning that on for a few minutes while I'm cleaning up the dishes or making the coffee.
Right.
I'm infiltrating my subconscious with information intentionally. You know what I mean? Now, I will admit, I never watched news my entire life until the election in 2016. I got addicted to the frickin' news. I'd wake up and I am the person that hates when people have TVs on their house for no reason. I do not like television. I only actively watch it, like it's a specific purpose. You will never.
Yeah.
I hate it. Yet I all of a sudden became this person, and I'm like, oh my god! And I literally, it took discipline, and I had to go. This is fucking up my morning. This is starting my day wrong, man. I gotta like get back to the stuff I'm doing before that, cancel that out, find another way to get information. I had to kind of wean myself off like an addict, for real. I really did. But I had to do it. And by the way, talking about how you're like, I still have to exercise discipline. So do I. We all do. And you know who else does too? I was interviewing Gabby Reese. You know, Gabby Reese, the volleyball player, massive badass. She's like, I still every day have to bargain with myself to work out. These are micro commitments, you know. You can just do a micro one. The ones we're talking about in this morning routine, oh, they're micro commitments. It's not really a lot to ask anyone to sit there and write 3 things down or listen to 2 minutes of a thing or getting to spend half an hour to yourself of the morning, filtering your head and your subconscious with juicy stuff. Like, that is not a lot. It's not a lot to ask. If you did that and never even worked out, you'd probably be better off mentally. You know, I mean, I know you and I would agree that exercise is part of it too, but man, even just that could change your life. We're not saying also go work out. If you can, great, but have some time to yourself. Like, and I don't know, these things, man, you get into a gratitude space and like nothing in that day could go wrong because you had just spent a moment in practical tears because you have your legs. It's so powerful.
Yeah, it shifts you.
Like, just get
it
to
shifts
the
you so
baseline.
powerful.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I experienced recently, I love that you're sharing about your news experience because it shows that all of us, no matter how much work we've done or what we currently think or whatever, we can slip into these behaviors. But luckily you had done enough personal development work that you were like, this is not bringing me the results that I want in my life. So I got to nix it. And I'm kind of addicted to it and I got to nix it. And we are addicted to all sorts of stuff. That's what's like, people talk about addictions. I'm like, we're all addicted to all kinds of stuff. Maybe you're addicted to negative self-talk. Maybe you're addicted to being lazy. Maybe you're addicted to gossiping, like whatever. So everybody's addicted to something. And I found for me, like when all of this stuff started happening with coronavirus and Black Lives Matter, and there was just so much going on in the news, I felt like, I was like, man, I'm a social media influencer. Like, I guess even though I normally just stay out of stuff, like I better like find out what's going on so I know what the crap is going on. And so now all of a sudden I'm taking in things from the media all of a sudden, right? And I got to the point, by the time we got to like the Black Lives Matter stuff, and also my friend Drew Manning
You're
was
like,
running
I'm out.
Yeah, he was running this 100-miler for raising money for Operation Underground Railroad, which helps stop sex trafficking. I mean, I just found myself just down this like research mode of researching slavery in the world, which is very, very depressing. I'm not saying we need to stick our heads in the sand. We need to be aware about things, but like how much of that are you going to consume? Because I found like I usually feel like a very resilient and strong person, and I'm focused on my life and my kids and my friends and my family and my business and things that I can control. But I found myself like literally I couldn't stop crying. I was like bawling my eyes out one night reading about slavery in the world and how prevalent it still is, like 20 million people. And I'm just like, but all of a sudden I found like I couldn't even focus on my life because I was so into like racism. And I'm not saying it's not important, but like we have to learn to be able to detach it at some point or it will overrun our whole lives. And so that's for me, like this morning routine, it does circle back to that because it ingrains in you the ability to choose how you spend your time, choose how you spend your thoughts. Now, it doesn't mean you need to be misinformed. It does mean, though, that you don't get carried by the wind by every single opinion and piece of information that's floating around in your life. The same thing can happen to me with social media easily because I get direct messages all day long, 24/7 on Instagram. So if I chose to, I could live my whole life in reactive mode to that, right? And so in the mornings, and I try very hard to respond to people on social media. I do. It's important to me that when people take the time to follow and consume my content, that they understand that they're important to me too. I don't know if I'll always be able to do that, but right now at about 20,000 followers, I'm still able to do that. But they don't get my attention first thing in the morning. There has to be some parameters in which you set aside time for you and your life and your kids and your relationships and your business and your finances and your faith and your connection to divinity. Like that time must be set aside, or we just get carried by the wind, like those little floppy guys that are out inside of businesses. Like that's what I see in my mind when I see that we don't take, you know what I'm talking about? The blow up guys that flop around. That's what I see.
It's like the kink in the hose, right? It's like all over the place.
Yeah. We don't take time to create a powerful moment for ourselves in our lives. Like every time I don't do my morning routine, which happens sometimes, I sleep in, I got like a freaking commitment. I'm like, oh crap, that day sucks. That day sucks. It's like not close to my power potential.
I want to share a moment where on a 2.5 week trip, I started out in a bad way with focus on negative things and turned it into a winner, which was, so I was in Africa for a couple of weeks and I was with a couple of people and we're like pretty much in a car every day, all day. I was with a bunch of National Geographic, like wildlife photographers. So it was like, it wasn't just like sitting around at the pool, I mean, we were driving all over the place. So it was like a long day, not terribly exciting, some of it, a lot of boring long drives and things like that. But when we'd be back at the hotels and things like that, I would just be like, I kept clicking on all these headlines, like there'd be like an earthquake in China and I'd click on it. Like, first of all, okay, you saw the headline. You already know it's a disaster. But now I've decided I'm going to go in and find out all of the juicy details about this. Let's pile it on. So about at the first week, I was like, I don't feel good. I'm negative. I should be feeling great. I'm in Africa. I'm on vacation. Like what? And then I was like, okay, what am I doing? And I stopped. I literally had to be like, no, just stop being bored and sitting there on Yahoo or whatever, came up, and I'm looking through it. And then what happened was pretty funny, because after a couple days of just not doing that and focusing my attention on law of attraction, I ended up getting inspired, and I actually started my first, was it my first? No, it was my second. I started my second full screenplay that I ended up pretty much having most of the story before I even left. So ditching that, realizing it was a problem, ditching it and being in this stale limbo of a blah, whatever feeling, not happy, not sad, just, and then going into now I've let space in there fire up. And by the time we were done with that trip, I was like, yes, I came home and I and busted out this great creative project that I don't know that would have come in had I been sitting there the rest of the trip, just whatever. It was just everyone was doing it. Everyone's on their computer. They're sitting there checking their stuff. And you're like, all right, well, I'm here doing it. I could have stared off into space and done an LOA meditation, but I didn't. I chose to do that. So then the second half, I was like, nope, we're going to do it differently. And then something awesome came out of it because I let space come in, let positivity come in,
I love that story. I actually experienced something like this last night. So Sunday night, I was sitting there and I was like, okay, people, I'm trying to sharpen the saw. I'm trying to detach from business. Cause one thing about me is when I have a goal, I become obsessed 100%. Nothing will stop me. And my kids had just gone back to their dads. I've got this evening to myself and I was like, you know what? I need to detach from business. And normally I would just go for a walk or go for a hike and meditate or whatever. But I was like, people always talk about, it's good to just watch a movie or something and just get your mind completely off everything. So I decided to watch a movie and I almost got through it. I was maybe, 3/4 or more through it. And I just my energy just felt so disappointing. Exactly what you were talking about, of that blah, kind of unfulfilled, I'm not getting anything out of this. And so for me personally, I picked up doing just some video work stuff that I need to finish up for work. And instantly my energy changed into oh yeah, baby, this feels good. And I'm not saying that you have to be focused on work all the time, but it's
sometimes you have to force it though. Sometimes you have to force the direction of it. You do. Look,
right.
At some point, you got to sit down and write that thing. Or at some point, you got to. And so those aren't always completely inspired. They are sometimes a little forced. Then they become quickly inspired, like you found. You were like, you know what? I'm going to go do that. You probably weren't incredibly stoked. But the moment you started, you're like, oh, yeah, now I'm into it. See, now my juice and my positive vibes are going, and now I'm stoked because it's a goal of mine, and I get obsessed about this thing. And what a game changer. 180 in 10 minutes.
Right. And what I was hearing from you too was just this self-accountability moment, right? Where you're like, is what I'm doing getting me what I want? And you're looking at the results of that action and you're like, I don't like the results of this action. So I'm going to have that uncomfortable moment where I still kind of want to do it, because I'm sure you went back and you kind of wanted to do it because that's how you had decided to fill your time on this trip.
Yep.
And you were like, nope, not going to do that. And then found something to fill it with. It's creating that space. You created space. And I think that's kind of what we're talking about here in general with this whole podcast, is creating space to let your freaking dreams come true. Look what you did instead. That's freaking amazing.
And wrote it all by myself, too. It was the first full screenplay I'd written all by myself. I had written one before with a friend who we figured it out. We did like a trip, went for a week, we knocked it out. We had like, the only book we used was Screenwriter's Bible, which basically just tells you how to like format a car chase scene or something like that. And we knocked it out. And then so this time I was like, I think I could do it on my own, but I was generating all of the ideas there. So by the time I came back, I was like ready to roll. And that came out of that second half of me deliberately, intentionally, with discipline, right? All the things we're talking about. It doesn't, like, I still have to be, I love working out. It makes me feel great. So I'm not going to bail on that in life. But yeah, like, so I would never say no, I would rather not work out because I do love it. But again, like if I'm just not going to, I do have to self-motivate. And if I didn't, my gosh, I don't know that I'd be as happy or as successful and productive as I am. It's a commitment I've made and I do it. And I also know that when I don't feel good. I mean, not like I'm sick or whatever, but it doesn't feel as good as it does when I've worked out. So I know that, and given that, I force myself to do it sometimes. Sometimes sometimes I'm fighting with myself the entire way to the pool, fighting with myself as I'm getting into my, like, oops, I accidentally didn't dry my bikini, now it's cold and wet. I'm putting on my body, I'm going, fuck no, I can't. Who do you think you are? All the way up to the pool's edge. But then after one lap, I'm like, I love myself. I love this. You know what I mean? Yep. But sometimes it is a forced all the way up and two. But again, these are commitments you have to make to yourself. This is just one of those. Having a morning routine is just one of those commitments. And again, you carve out 15 minutes. Maybe it turns into an hour. I kind of like to hang out for a couple hours in the morning before, do other things. But before I like work out or before I am rolling. Here's the other thing. Every iPhone, you got all your, mail accounts on there. You can do it at night. Turn it off so that when you wake up, you're not jacked by you got 3 messages on your work account. Now you're tempted to press it. Hey, they can wait. So unless there's some sort of emergency situation, you know what I mean? You gotta like start to carve it out and make sure that, you're on it.
Yeah. Notifications are definitely off on my phone. Like there's no freaking way, especially me being as like, wanting to serve all the time and still got some trailing of pleasing behaviors, and that is like a recipe for disaster for me, right? Because I will tend to start putting other people in front of myself, and that's something I've had to discipline out of myself also, is like, hold up, like, can I actually do that? Let me have this little moment for wait, do I even want to do that? No, I don't. Okay, no. Right? So, yeah, notifications can become a disaster if you're like a people pleaser. You got to get that crap off your phone.
Or right into airplane mode right when you wake up. Just make it so that no one can text or call or the phone is off. I mean, look, people are addicted to continually checking that. I'm kind of that person where, like, especially with writing and focusing, I will just turn that thing's off.
Right.
Like, I don't even allow it. And then even if I have the reflex of picking up, oh, it's black. Oh, yeah, that's right. I turned it off. I just, I go right back to it.
Right. If you're a procrastinator, which most people generally are by default, especially when it's something we don't really want to do, you cannot have your phone or messages on your computer or any of that available, and you will crank it out so fast. You can either sit there. This is like what I tell my kids, like when they're doing schoolwork. I see my daughter. She's like, I'm such a procrastinator. I'm like, no, you're just jumping on your phone every 20 seconds. Or if I take your phone away, you're trying to talk to me every 20 seconds. Like, just get focused on the task. Like, stay in longer, right? And this is a pattern for success too. Like, if you want to look at weightlifting or your ability to change, stay in that uncomfortable moment a little bit longer and you'll settle in. I've learned this from running too, kind of what you're talking about, this all the way to the pool. You kind of don't want to do it. It's amazing when you become a meditator. If there's anybody listening who's a runner and a meditator, I guarantee you can relate to this, because you will just sit there and observe your thoughts when it gets uncomfortable. And it is crazy. It's like you're a professional at finding excuses to help you bail. Anything. It could be like, oh my gosh, you know what? I actually don't think I had enough carbs yesterday for this workout. Or, I don't think I'm hydrated. What if I'm hurting myself? Oh, wait. Oh, you know what? I should probably do intervals today. That would be good. Let me walk for a second. Like, your brain will just be like anything. I've observed that in myself so much. So, I think, developing this ability to shut everything out get all the notifications out, get your phone away, get up early, get by yourself and get extremely focused on what you actually want, and your whole freaking life changes. Your whole life, it sets you on the path of magic.
Yeah, I want to, before we wrap it up, I love this idea of the frog thing. Okay, so everybody knows this. I really feel this. When you do something you don't want to do, like you have to finally call the pharmacy to go, whatever, or you've got to go, I got to fill out the paperwork for the DMV. Oh, shit. Like that's been sitting on the table. When you get one of those suckers out, you feel like you are a warrior. Oh so my true. God. Like today. So for example, like I've got a new car lease coming up that I've got to deal. And I was like, who wants to do that? Like regardless, I mean, first class problem to get a new car, but I'm just saying no one wants to go deal with the dealership and the people and the whole thing. They just want the car. Like the whole transaction can be a kind of a nightmare, right? So I'm thinking about this. I'm like, I really didn't want to call. I've been putting it off a little bit. And then this morning I was like, no, you know what? Get it done. Knock this out. Do you know how like extra accomplished and amazing I feel about myself today that I made one phone call to a dealership to go to put something forward in motion for something I have to do the next month? So dumb. Yep. One phone call, 10 minutes, didn't want to do it. But God, the fact that I did, I feel so accomplishment. We are wired for reward, like you talked about earlier. And this is really important. Like I love the rewards. You know what I mean? Like my reward for a great day is, and again, this is why I like doing everything kind of before 3 p.m. if I can, is because I like to just kind of hack off and hang out and be in my own thoughts and do whatever I want for the day. I don't want to be necessarily focused, or sometimes I have to be, but for the most part, I don't want to be. So I try to like arrange my day that way. You know what I mean? And so I want to get the junk over with early. But again, I love that. I love this idea of, okay, you've got to like make the appointment for the taxes. It could be small. Maybe you have to do your taxes. Okay, maybe you're just going to get everything out. You're going to get the receipts out and put them all in the bag. Right. And that's the one step you're going to do that you hate today. But I love that because when we are resisting something like that and then finally do it again, this is it's an increaser of self-esteem and confidence. It is. And personal responsibility and all the stuff we're talking about. So I love this idea of if you have it, the thing that you really don't want to do, even if it's like, I really don't want to mop the floor. I just don't. Well, then that's what you're doing. That's your frog
and build this morning. A reward after. What are you going to do after you mop the floor? That's a helpful thing. And also, learning to stay extremely focused on one task at a time is so helpful. And that's what happens when you do this. When I'm meditating. When I'm gratitude journaling, I'm gratitude journaling. When I'm speaking and writing my goals and doing all that stuff, I'm 100% in that. When I'm scheduling my day, I'm 100% in that. I'm not on my phone. I'm not looking at my phone every 5 seconds, or I'm not listening to a book while I'm doing it. I'm doing just that. And you become an efficiency machine when you develop this ability. So I would say, like, if there's something in your life like that, like you have eat the frog things. For example, just now, right before we started recording, I had a new client. I need to onboard her. I've got a whole process. And that's another thing, is like build processes that streamline your life. Of course, I hope everybody's doing that, right? If there's something that you do consistently, you got to streamline that crap, right? So I got that thing down to a science. And I knew, like, at first I was like, oh, I got to get to that. I was like, my question that I asked myself is, can I do it now? Can I do it now? And it's like, yep, I can. If I stay extremely focused, put the freaking phone down, don't do anything else, but just laser focus on this one task, I can crank that crap out in like 5 minutes. But if I sit there and I dilly daddle and I'm like looking at my phone and doing all these things, it's going to take me forever, right? So learning to be extremely focused on the task at hand is such an efficiency hack, and asking yourself, can I do it now? It doesn't mean you need to be impulsive all the time, but man, we have these little 5-minute windows that we waste all over the place. Like, just like, you know, use screen to the screen. If you have an iPhone, use the screen time app on your phone. See how much time you're spending on your phone. Like whenever I talk about meditation with my clients, I'm like, think about how many 10-minute intervals you waste during the day. Think about it. And you don't have 10 minutes to meditate? Bullshit. Yes, you do. So yeah, becoming extremely focused on one thing at a time has definitely helped my life a ton. Is there anything else you want to add in closing?
No, I mean, I'm really glad you brought up Craig Valentine. I think that's a good way to start. And also, too, honestly, most successful people I know, they're following a circadian rhythm. They wake up early. Unless they're, you're a music producer and you're in the studio at night with, like a band and you've got it. Yeah. But for the most part, yeah, it's changed my life. And also now too, as well, it's something that I look forward to. And again, like we talked about, like I'm excited to go to bed so that I can start the day and wake up and like do that part of it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It can be
Yep.
fun. And by the way, I was never a morning. I want to share that too. I was the least morning person. I was the person when my mother was growing up. She was like, "It's too bad they don't start school at noon," because I hate it.
Right.
I was like, "Why? What?" Like I was the sleep till 12, 3 p.m. in high school up till all hours. I never thought I'd become a morning person. And now I
Yeah.
kind of won't even date. I won't date a night owl. I'll date. I only want to date people that have that kind of same sort of schedule as I do, because that can be really conflicting too. You're dating someone
Definitely.
you're up till 2 in the morning and you're in bed at 9:30. You know what I mean? So like I even look at
Definitely.
that too. Like, oh no, I kind of tend to hang out with like-minded individuals. But we'll put all these resources in the show notes. Did we want to talk about our live thing?
Yeah, guys. So we're doing Kick-Ass Life Podcast live. This is scheduled for July 25th. That's a Saturday, July 25th. It's going to start at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. 2 hours, ask anything. So whatever you guys want from both the expertise of Elle and I, you got it for 2 hours. Plus, it's going to be a really cool way to find your tribe. We have some cool things planned for the future. So come join us. We'll have a swipe up links on our Instagram and on our websites for that, so you can get more info. But you can go to Kick-Ass Life is it Kick-Ass Life Podcast Live, or what is it, Elle?
Yeah, that's
Kick-Ass
it. It's
Life Podcast Live.
kickassLifePodcastLive.com. And from there is where you
.com.
can sign up for like the live Zoom meeting. And of course, yeah, we'll put links and everything. But yeah, we wanted to do this and start to create a community. It'd be really fun. We love meeting people. If you've heard us for a minute, you know we love people. We love talking with people. We want to help
Yeah.
inspire and also co-inspire. Listen, we might learn something from you, I'm sure, but we would love to, if you're open for it, we'd love you to come join us. There's going to be max 20 people, so it should be a pretty decent, intimate environment where we can get to know everyone. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. So again, kickassLifePodcastLive.com.
Yeah, thanks, Elle. Okay, guys, and don't forget to join us on kickasslifepodcast.com, where you can find all of our listening options and also submit ideas and communicate with us there. You can also find us on Instagram is a great way to find me at Coach Tara Garrison, and Elle Russ is _Elle Russ, and also on our podcast, elleruss.com, our websites, elleruss.com and CoachTaraGarrison.com. And we super appreciate you guys, and we love hearing from you. We appreciate you all, and we'll see you next episode.
All right.